March 14th, Friday, reflection by Reverend Father Clifford Atta Anim. Please subscribe, like, and share to support the channel. Matthew chapter 5, verses 20 to 26. True righteousness beyond external observance. In today's Gospel, from the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 5, verses 20 to 26, Jesus contrasts true righteousness with the legalistic approach of the scribes and Pharisees. They believed that strict external observance of the Mosaic law was sufficient for salvation. However, Jesus teaches that righteousness comes from within. It is not merely about following rules, but about allowing God's grace to transform our hearts. St. Paul echoes this in Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 to 9. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one may boast. Salvation is God's free gift, but we must cooperate with His grace by living according to the new moral standards Jesus sets for His disciples. One of the key areas Jesus addresses is anger, which can be spiritually destructive. Unlike the law, which mainly focuses on external actions, Jesus emphasizes the inner attitudes that lead to sin. He describes 3 escalating levels of anger and their corresponding consequences. Anger in the heart, what it is: holding resentment, bitterness, or hatred within. Biblical example: Cain harbored jealousy against Abel before ultimately killing him, as we read in Genesis chapter 4, verses 5 to 8. Jesus' warning: even internal anger makes a person guilty before God's judgment, symbolized by the local village court. St. Paul warns in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26, "Be angry, but do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger." Anger expressed in speech. What it is: using insulting, degrading, or hurtful words. Jesus mentions 2 specific terms. Raka, an insult meaning empty-headed or fool. Moros, a term implying moral corruption. Biblical example: the Pharisees constantly slandered Jesus, calling him a blasphemer and demon-possessed, as noted in Matthew chapter 12, verse 24. Jesus' warning: such verbal abuse makes a person liable to divine judgment, symbolized by the Sanhedrin, the Jewish Supreme Court. Proverbs 18:21 reminds us, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." Anger in action, what it is: physical violence, revenge, or uncontrolled outbursts. Biblical example: Peter, in anger, cut off the ear of the high priest's servant, but Jesus healed him and rebuked Peter, as stated in Luke chapter 22, verses 50 to 51. Jesus' warning: such uncontrolled rage leads to eternal separation from God, symbolized by Gehenna, which is a reference to hell. 1 John chapter 3, verse 15 emphasizes this point. Anyone who hates his brother is a murderer, and you know that no murderer has eternal life abiding in him. Forgive and seek reconciliation quickly. Jesus teaches that reconciliation is more important than religious rituals, as stated in Matthew chapter 5, verses 23 to 24. Before we approach the altar, we must first repair broken relationships. Forgiveness brings inner peace and spiritual healing. Anger affects physical and mental health. Holding on to anger can lead to stress, anxiety, high blood pressure, and depression. Studies show that forgiveness promotes better mental and emotional well-being. Practical steps to control anger. Stay silent when tempted to lash out, as it says in Proverbs 17, verse 27. Pray for God's grace to control emotions, as mentioned in Philippians 4, verses 6 to 7. You know, sometimes life throws us into tough spots. During those moments, it's important to choose kindness and patience. As it says in Colossians chapter 3, verses 12 to 13, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. Conclusion: the heart of true righteousness. Jesus calls us to go beyond external observance of the law and cultivate inner holiness. Anger, when left unchecked, destroys relationships and our connection with God. Instead of harboring resentment, we must choose forgiveness, seek reconciliation, and live in peace. As Romans 12:18 advises, if possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. By following Jesus' teachings, we not only avoid sin, but also reflect God's love in our daily lives. God bless you.